Tonight, the Scottish Police Federation threatens legal action against the chair of the Sheku Bayoh inquiry. Lord Bracadale refused to step down over allegations of bias.
The obvious remedy is a judicial review to put this before a judge in the Court of Session, and that's what we're giving active consideration to.
Also making the headlines, the Scottish Government insists the country's finances are sustainable, as figures show spending has far outpaced revenue. As Hollywood productions flock to film in Scotland, is homegrown talent missing out on the benefits behind the scenes? And in sport, relief for Rangers. Russell Martin's side progressed to the Champions League playoffs despite defeat in the Czech Republic. I'm John Mackay. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. The Scottish Police Federation, which represents rank and file officers, is threatening legal action against the chair of one of the country's most high-profile public inquiries. Lord Bracadale, who is leading the inquiry into the death of Sheku Bayoh, has refused to step down after allegations of bias. The former judge concluded the 5 meetings he had with Mr Bayoh's family do not impact his ability to lead the inquiry. Mr Bayoh died in 2015 after being restrained by police officers in Kirkcaldy. Vanessa Taff reports.
I'm Lord Bracadale, chair of the public inquiry into the death of Sheku Bayoh.
He spent almost 2 months considering whether he's the right person for the job.
It will be conducted with transparency and openness.
Today, former Judge Lord Bracadale refused to stand down, despite claims he is biased and unfit for his role after he held 5 private meetings with the Bayoh family. 10 years ago, Sheku Bayoh died while being held at a police station in Kirkcaldy. He was detained after allegations he was carrying a knife. The inquiry is looking at the circumstances around the 31-year-old's death and whether race was a factor.
This inquiry has conducted itself with integrity, with impartiality, and has left no stone unturned in the search for the truth. The question comes down to this: Sheku Bayoh was unarmed. He had a right to life. And why is it that the Federation are so desperate to derail and to sabotage this inquiry?
The public inquiry into Sheku Bayoh's death has heard 122 days of evidence and cost close to £50 million. Lord Bracadale's decision today to clear himself of bias is based off his years of experience as a judge, but with a legal challenge from the Scottish Police Federation that could see yet more time added to this already lengthy public inquiry. Police officers are now weighing up their next legal move.
I think it's likely there'll be legal action, but we need to, it's over 100 pages, the judgment, so we need to consider that. But the obvious remedy is a judicial review to put this before a judge in the Court of Session, and that's what we're giving active consideration to.
Consideration that will yet further push back the outcome of this inquiry.
So Vanessa, where does this leave the inquiry now?
Well, if the Police Federation do go ahead with legal action, which will be in the form of that judicial review, it is inevitably just going to add more time onto this public inquiry. It's in everyone's interest for it not to drag out any longer than it already has, of course. But one of the key concerns that the Police Federation have is that Lord Bracadale has met on multiple occasions with the Bayoh family, but is yet to meet with some of the police officers who were involved in his detention and his arrest. Of course, further possible legal action also means the cost will go up. I mean, millions have already been spent on this public inquiry, and if it goes to court, that cost is going to rise. Ultimately, tonight, though, the delay would mean further upset for a family who are already grieving the loss of a loved one, and tonight they do not have a definite end for this public inquiry.
Vanessa, thank you. The former presiding officer of the Scottish Parliament, Sir George Reid, has died aged 86. He was diagnosed with kidney cancer in June and passed away yesterday morning. His wide-ranging career spanned not only politics but his time as a presenter on STV. Tributes have been paid to him today, including from the First Minister John Swinney, who said Scotland is richer for the life of George Reid and poorer for his passing. Most will remember Sir George Reid as a politician, as an MP in the 1970s or as an MSP in the early years of the Scottish Parliament and its second presiding officer. Older people may remember him as a television journalist, including a period as a presenter on STV. He was set to join ITN in London, but a phone call changed everything.
The SNP rang up and said, "We've no candidate in Clackmannanshire. It's where you come from." Indeed, my family comes from Clackmannanshire right back to the 1750s. Go on, do us a favour, would you stand? Rang Sir Geoffrey Cox, who was the editor at ITN, said, "Would this make any difference?" "Not at all. Are you going to win?" I said, "No, not a hope." "Go and get some experience, young man." To my considerable astonishment, won by 4,000 votes in what had previously been a Labour seat with a 10,000 majority. And so life changed.
Born in Tullibody, Clackmannanshire in 1939, his political career began as one of the raft of SNP MPs elected in the 1974 elections. That period at Westminster covered the great devolution debates of the 1970s. He lost his Clackmannan and East Stirlingshire seat in the SNP collapse of 1979. He returned to the media, and what is perhaps not so well known about him was that he produced Michael Burke's famous BBC report on the Ethiopian famine, which led to both the Live Aid and Band Aid campaigns. That led to him working for the International Red Cross. He returned to frontline politics in the first Scottish Parliament elections in 1999, becoming the SNP MSP for Mid-Scotland and Fife. Although defeated by Sir David Steele for the position of presiding officer, he secured the role 4 years later. It was under his tenure that the controversial building of the new Holyrood Parliament was completed.
Charles Jenks, the great architectural critic, came and said it was utterly stunning on a world scale. Well, I leave the people of Scotland to make their own judgment on that.
He quit Holyrood in 2007 and took up a number of international roles, as well as being a significant figure in Scottish public life. He was knighted in 2012.
George has been an individual of incredible significance in Scotland. His domestic contribution to Scotland has been seminal, and his international contribution on the issue of aid to countries facing challenge and hardship has been well documented. So the loss of George Reid is a significant blow to Scottish politics and to Scottish life, which he enhanced enormously.
George Reid had a varied career which involved him in significant national and international issues. He lived a full life, mostly in the pursuit of trying to make Scotland a better place to live. So George Reid. Plans to reinstate a ferry link between Scotland and mainland Europe have moved a step closer, with a solution to a key border control obstacle now in sight. The Danish operator DFDS is aiming to launch a service between Rosyth in Fife and Dunkirk in France as early as spring next year. It comes after a number of barriers to the plans, including the need for a border control post. Well, Vanessa Kennedy is by the Firth of Forth now. Vanessa, this could be transformative.
Yes, well, if these plans do go ahead, it would be the first time in more than 15 years that passengers are able to use the crossing between the Firth of Forth and mainland Europe. The proposed passenger and freight service would start just over the water at Rosyth and go to Dunkirk in France. And that's a link that would replace the previous service between Rosyth and Belgium, which stopped carrying passengers in 2010 and was fully terminated in 2018 after a fire on one of the vessels. Now, there are hopes that creating this link between Fife and France will mean that eventually almost 80,000 passengers could be transported, and there are hopes it could inject around £11.5 million into the Scottish economy every year.
First of all, you've got Scotland's newest city, the ancient capital of Scotland, in Dunfermline, just up the road. Tourists are really keen to come and see that, the resting place of Robert the Bruce. You've also got huge businesses in this area like Maui and Amazon who would look to use this port as well, who support having a ferry route back here. That makes this part of Scotland much more attractive to businesses as well as to tourist investors. That's all really good news for the local economy and for jobs and just for this area and for Scotland in general.
I think it would be good for both of those, both the economy and tourism in the area, and maybe get some more people over here to visit our lovely country as well.
I would maybe use it if I was going on holiday, going to France.
We would like a ferry that took us from this side of the Forth to the other side of Forth, never mind going all the way to Dunkirk. We just think it would be wonderful to have a ferry.
But Vanessa, there have been a number of barriers to these plans for a while now, haven't there?
Yeah, and that's mainly due to the issue of the need for border control posts. Now, earlier this year, there was a UK-EU deal, which means that eventually there won't be any need at all for border control posts. But at the moment, there needs to be a temporary arrangement if this is going to start before the new rules come in. So that's why the MP we heard from earlier, Graham Downey, is suggesting that an interim solution could be using the border control post that's already at Grangemouth. So if this ferry route is to be reinstated, we could be seeing passengers use it as early as next spring.
Vanessa, thank you. Scotland has long been a star of the big and small screens, and recent years have seen international productions transform familiar locations into the backdrops for global hits and high-profile stars. But as the cameras roll, some of those in our own film industry say they're missing out on the opportunities these blockbusters bring. Caitlin Hutchison reports.
When Spider-Man swings into Glasgow, it's Hollywood magic on our doorstep.
I can't see anything, I can't see anything.
In recent years, Scotland has been a backdrop for superhero epics and sweeping historical dramas. Last year alone, Glasgow hosted 140 productions, bringing in an estimated £33 million to the city. But behind the blockbuster buzz, some in the industry say Scotland's own film talent is stuck on the sidelines.
Just because something's been filmed in Scotland doesn't mean to say it's a Scottish production, and that's the problem. And while a lot of work has gone into attracting movies to be filmed in Scotland, more needs to be done to support directing, producing and writing talent to actually make movies.
Even productions that look Scottish on screen, like hit reality TV show The Traitors, can have surprisingly few Scots working behind the camera.
The number of Scottish freelancers working on it is incredibly low. A couple more people are working on Series 4, but it's considered that Scottish talent, screen talent, doesn't have the requisite skills or experience, and that's just nonsense.
Karen has worked as an extra on everything from Batman to Indiana Jones, but says too often visiting productions use London-based casting companies.
Everyone gets excited and says, oh, we want to go and see it getting filmed, we want to be part of it, how do we get involved in it? And sometimes the doors are closed to us. That's the thing that I find unfair sometimes on these jobs.
The English agents generally say, oh yeah, we've got lots of people up here, we can do it. And generally we found that we are drafted in the last minute to plug gaps. Scotland has a wealth of talent, but they're not using assistant directors, they're not using makeup artists, costume people.
Big shoots can also mean big disruption. Some businesses say road closures hit trade and crews often cater for themselves. The BBC and Screen Scotland told us they're committed to growing Scotland's creative sector. Screen Scotland also said it encourages incoming productions to use local crews and services. But some are still hoping the next big twist will see more homegrown names taking centre stage. Caitlin Hutchison, STV News in Glasgow.
Scotland spent £26 billion more on public services than it raised in taxes last year. The UK government claims the figures show Scots benefiting from higher spending. However, the Scottish government argues they highlight the limits of devolved powers. Here's our political correspondent, Ewan Petrie.
Every year, the Scottish Government publishes what's known as the GERS figures, the Government Expenditure and Revenue Scotland Statistics. And what it tells us is how much is raised in taxation in Scotland compared with how much is spent. Now this year, the figures show the difference between those has risen. That notional deficit now sits at £26.5 billion. That's up more than £5 billion compared with last year. Now that amounts to more than 11% of Scotland's GDP, more than double the rate in the UK as a whole. The reason for this increase? Well, part of it comes down to a second consecutive year of falling North Sea oil and gas revenue. But the Scottish Government argues the country's public finances are sustainable.
Scottish revenues have grown compared to the expenditure here in Scotland. So the areas that we are responsible for, we more than pay for. The notional deficit within GERS, 90% of that can be attributed to UK government decisions. And that's why, of course, we want the full powers of independence to be able to make different decisions to improve Scotland's economic performance.
Now, the UK government points out the figures also show public spending in Scotland is more than £2,500 higher per person than the rest of the UK.
The UK provides extra spending for Scots and public services. And independence is a completely blank sheet of paper, so the Scottish Government can come up with whatever fantasy figures they want for what would happen after independence. What we can go on at the moment is how they're managing the public finances today. And the Scottish Fiscal Commission has found they've already got a huge black hole in their management of the public finances.
Now, these figures are often brought up in the debate over Scotland's constitutional future. It's important to stress they only show the position in the current setup, and the challenges here are not unique. But they are likely to resurface once again as the campaign for the Holyrood election gets into full swing next year.
Ewan Petrie. 250 jobs are set to be created to help deliver next year's Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. The events company Trivandi says it's aiming to recruit 60% of their workforce from within the city, with opportunities for unemployed people, students and those with accessibility needs. The firm said those recruited would be given training to gain internationally recognised qualifications. The US Vice President J.D. Vance is set to arrive in Scotland for a family holiday. Police Scotland confirmed it was planning for a potential visit. STV News understands the Vice President is due to arrive at Prestwick Airport following engagements in England, where he has met the UK Foreign Secretary. Hundreds of staff at the energy regulator Ofgem are set to strike over pay and conditions. Members of the Public and Commercial Services Union, based in Glasgow, will walk out for 3 days later this month. Ofgem said it was disappointed at the news, but would continue to engage with staff while seeking to minimise any disruption. Franz Ferdinand returned home to Glasgow tonight to play an outdoor gig at the city's SWG3 Galvanisers Yard following a summer of festivals and shows around the world. Laura Boy joined the band to hear more about their packed year of performances and why tonight's venue holds a special place in their hearts.
Well, it is a glorious evening here at the Galvanisers Yard at SWG3. The perfect setting for a homecoming gig, which is just as well because Franz Ferdinand are playing tonight. Alex and Bob, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Slightly warm.
Oh my goodness, it's roasting.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. What a night this is going to be. So tell me a bit about what we've got ahead.
Well, it's first gig we played in Glasgow since the Barrowlands earlier in the year.
Yeah, one of our few outdoor shows in Glasgow that we've ever played.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty special place, isn't it? I mean, it looks very cool, but you've been coming here for years.
Yeah, we shot a video here in 2009 for Can't Stop Feeling, and it's amazing seeing how the place has developed over the years as well, like going from like rehearsal rooms and artist spaces to this incredible venue that it is now. It's amazing.
But we have to talk Glastonbury.
Oh, yeah.
Alex, what was that like?
It was amazing, you know, like it's a big thing for me. Like I first went to Glastonbury when I was 18, so it was the first festival I ever went to, and the atmosphere was incredible. Of course, we had some great guests join us as well.
Great guests. I mean, Peter Capaldi.
Yes.
He was amazing, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's really good. He's a really good musician and singer. Yeah. He went to the art school and he had a punk band at the art school, and like he's just kind of picked it up again. Yeah. It's amazing.
You've had new music out, we've had releases, we've had this tour, but the tour is ongoing. I mean, you're in America, Australia, Spain. How are you feeling? Are you just absolutely loving it?
It's amazing. Like the reception to the album's been so good, and like for people to want us to come all over these places across the world is, that's such a joy. It's really cool.
And it carries on into next year, and you do all these exotic places, then you come back to sunny Dundee.
Yes. Yeah.
Quite looking forward to that one. It's a new venue that it's just opening quite soon, I think. Maybe it's just opened, so yeah, looking forward to playing that.
And you are loved all over the world, but when you come back to Scotland, is it like no other show?
Oh, I mean, it's of course it's insane, and the guest list is always really, really insane. Lots of family, lots of friends, but also the atmosphere here is always mind blowing. It's always a highlight of the year, of course. Yeah.
Well, we're going to go and get freshened up. Can you add me to that guest list for tonight?
Of course.
Thank you very much. Just black my way in there again. As always, guys, listen, have an amazing one and enjoy if you're going. Thank you.
Now, Ronnie's here with the sport.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Summer Sale.
Good evening. Russell Martin admits there were far too many scary moments in Rangers' match with Victoria Pilsen last night, but is relieved to have made it through to the Champions League playoffs. Despite defeat on the night, the Ibrox club will now face Club Brugge for a place in the league phases. Meanwhile, Brendan Rodgers admits he'd have preferred a shorter trip in their Champions League playoff. They face a nightmare journey to Kazakhstan. It certainly wasn't pretty, but it was job done for Rangers. A 2-1 defeat in the Czech Republic was enough to see Russell Martin's side progress, but supporters were less than impressed by the performance. Martin admitted it's another huge learning curve for his squad, with all eyes now on the next round against Belgian side Club Brugge. So what lies in store for Rangers in the playoff round? Well, this will certainly be a step up in quality for the Ibrox club. Bruges finished second in last season's Belgian Pro League behind champions Union Saint-Gilloise. They have approximate squad value of €170 million compared to Rangers' €118 million. They play at the Jans Bredel Stadium, which has a capacity of just under 30,000. And Bruges certainly have European pedigree. They made it to the last 16 of the Champions League last season, eventually eliminated by Aston Villa. The first leg will take place at Ibrox on Tuesday night, before the return leg in Belgium the following Wednesday. In terms of Celtic, they face a daunting 7,000-mile round trip to face Kazakhstan side Kairat Almaty, with a flight time of more than 8 hours awaiting the players. To show the scale of the journey, cities closer to Celtic Park than Almaty include Baghdad in Iraq, Kabul in Afghanistan and New York in America. So who will Celtic be facing? Well, Kairat Almaty won the Kazakhstan title last season, finishing a point ahead of Astana. They are the most easterly club in UEFA competitions. Their squad value is around €13 million, vastly inferior to Celtic's €131 million. Their stadium has a capacity of almost 24,000, and they've already faced Scottish opposition in the past, beating Aberdeen in Europa League qualifiers a decade ago. Celtic welcome the Kazakh side to Parkhead a week tonight for the first leg, before their mammoth journey for the second leg the following Tuesday. David Gray says league phase at European football is within Hibs' reach after their 2-0 win in Belgrade, but has warned his players to treat tomorrow night's second leg against Partizan as if it's 0-0. Meanwhile, Hearts boss Derek McInnes has made his decision on the team's troublesome right-back position, as Jamie Borthwick can explain.
1 foot in the final qualifying round, but these players know the job isn't done yet. Hibs thrilled in Serbia last week, returning with a 2-goal lead over Partizan Belgrade. But mentality will be key when they run out in front of a packed Easter Road tomorrow night.
At the very start, whatever way we could get into group stage European football was the challenge to the players right at the very start, and it's still well within our reach, which is really positive. It is only half time in the tie, I've mentioned that. Now the scenes and the feeling straight after the game over there, obviously really pleased, and it's great for the fans and have these special moments when you're over there in isolation. That would be a fantastic result, but it is only half time. I keep saying that to the players, so you can't get carried away, the players haven't.
At Hearts, Adam Forrester's cooperation agreement loan at St Johnstone is over for now without him playing a game for the Perth side. The 20-year-old right-back has been recalled following a thigh injury to summer signing Christian Borchgrevink, who was initially feared to be out for up to 2 months.
We're hoping it's not as long as that. Sometimes the scan can maybe exaggerate an issue, and the way Christian's presenting, he's not actually feeling too bad, so we're going to try and treat the symptoms rather than the scan results and just see how he goes. But he'll certainly be out for a few weeks, and from that course of events, then bringing Adam back made so much sense.
Jamie Borthwick, STV Sport.
After Lennon Miller's record-breaking transfer from Motherwell to Udinese, Dad Lee Miller says his son is in the perfect place to take his career to the next level. The 18-year-old moves to Serie A in a £4.7 million move, the biggest fee ever received by the Fir Park club, and joins on a 5-year deal.
We know that he needs to do this, and he needs to kick on and go and experience a different culture, a different lifestyle, a different way of playing in the Serie A. I mean, come on, the opportunity was fantastic for him to go over there. It's a perfect place, environment for him to go and develop. It's a quiet city that he can just knuckle down, no distractions, knuckle down, go on with his business and hopefully take his career to the next level.
Finally tonight, former Hearts manager Stephen Naismith has returned to the Scotland backroom staff as Steve Clarke's number 2. Naismith joins as a replacement for John Carver alongside Leicester City set-piece coach Andrew Hughes. Both will be in place when the squad reconvenes for their double-header against Denmark and Belarus.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Summer Sale.
That's all your sport tonight, John.
Cheers, Ronnie. Thank you. Well, it's been a warm week so far, and fingers crossed it's here to stay. Here's Philip with the details.
Well, yes, John, it has been a hot start to the week. That's all because we've been drawing in warmer air from continental Europe. These were some of our top spots yesterday. Fyvie Castle reached a high of 28.3 degrees Celsius, Edinburgh 28.2, and up north, Aboyne 27.8 degrees Celsius. For reference, our average for the time of year is around 17 degrees Celsius for the whole of Scotland. So some of these temperatures way above average for the time of year. Does this look set to continue? Well, let's take a closer look at what's in store. Here is the forecast.
A clear start makes way for a day of ancient discoveries. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Well, yes, it has been a pretty warm and hot start to the week for many of us. At the moment, though, we're seeing the influence of low pressure, and that's bringing with it a lot of instability. So add that to the hot conditions. That's what sparked off the thunderstorm risk today and tomorrow. Come Friday, though, high pressure starts to build in from the Atlantic. That does two things. It will help to settle our weather down just in time for the weekend, but it also cuts off that southerly airflow that we've been dragging that warmer air in on. So temperatures will be coming down a degree or two. Back to just now as we head into the overnight period. For the vast majority of us, it is remaining dry. The risk of the thunderstorms will be further north and northeast. We start to see a lot of low clouds spilling in around eastern coastal parts, and it will be another warm night to come for many of us. Temperatures sitting around 16 to 17 degrees Celsius. Then looking ahead to tomorrow, starting off with sunny spells further inland, but once the sunshine gets going, we could start to see some further thunderstorms developing. There is another yellow weather warning in place tomorrow. It will take a while for that low cloud to burn back from the east coast. Temperature-wise tomorrow reaching highs of around 24, possibly 25 degrees Celsius. Then looking ahead to Friday, like I said, high pressures building in from the west, bringing with it more settled conditions, but those temperatures down a degree or two, highs of 23. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
We'll keep taking that, and thank you for coming in from the sunshine to watch from all of us here. Thank you for doing that. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.